Have you ever wanted so bad for time to speed up so that you can finally start living life? And I mean, really living life, not life that you want to live for social media or life you want to live to make a friend, a foe, a family member jealous. No, I mean, truly your life. Well, that's me. My name is Sierra, if you don't know who I am. My channel is dedicated to my life and everything in between. And I am in nursing school, and I have been in nursing school since January of 2024. Before January 2024, I spent 2 years in community college to get as many prerequisites done. I started college when I graduated high school in 2012 and immediately went to college, something I didn't really want to do, but I felt like it was expected of me. I was supposed to, so I did it. Nevertheless, I went and took a couple of classes. Very soon realized my first mind and that I didn't want to go to college. So I dropped out in like 2013, stayed out of school for about 9 years, lived life, traveled. I mean, I don't regret that for nothing in this world. Tried to take on new heights with singing because I love music, still do love music, but I just didn't want to do the artist thing. So needless to say, I spent all that time really traveling, seeing the world, being an artist, being a songwriter, performing, flying so many places to try to, get the bug out there that, I'm a singer and I'm a songwriter, et cetera, et cetera. And while I did accomplish so many personal goals and professional goals, I decided being an artist was not for me. I do enjoy songwriting, but I also noticed being a songwriter has been tough to get into as well. Usually at one point, you listen to all these artists tell their stories like Neo's and the Lady Gaga's. I mean, the list goes on. Carrie Hilson, another one. But you hear them say that, they started out as a songwriter and then that was their leeway in. Well, didn't work for me that way. Anyway, I say all that to say, guys, during that 9-year gap from not being in college, I was living my life and I was having a really good time and I was just really learning myself as a person. Ended up moving to Georgia. I'm from Florida. So, Georgia is like a hop, skip, and a jump away. And for a reason or the other, I ended up moving back after about a year. I don't even think it made it. No, it didn't make a year. I moved back here to South Florida, had a very, very serious conversation with my sister who was in a nursing program at the time. And I came to her just pretty much saying like, listen, I'm so tired of working these jobs. I'm so tired of having the same stuff happen at a different job. I was tired of it. I was a job hopper. I've been a job hopper since I started working in 2011. And it's nothing to be proud of, but it's something to note. When you're hopping from job to job to job, you have your own reasons for why you do it. And my reasons was simply that my values never aligned with the companies I worked for. It never did. It never aligned with it. There was always something going on, whether it was from management primarily, or it was from, your coworkers, or it was from the business itself, the lack of interest, the lack of enthusiasm, the lack of fulfillment. It's just always been something, guys. So I came to terms like around 2020, just like around the pandemic time, 2021, that I need to do something, and the odds of me winning the lottery was very slim to none. The odds of me meeting a multimillionaire and running off into the sunset was slim to none. So I said to myself, I said, Sierra, I understand school is not the only way, because I was so hell-bent on not going back to school. Oh my God. Like, it was to the point where my family members could not mention, Sierra, why don't you? My mom would stay doing that. Sierra, why don't you think about going to school? Sierra, I've caught attitudes with people who would try to even muster up an inkling about telling me to go to school. And by that, I meant college. So it was crazy how life kind of came around full circle. And I was like, listen, Sierra, right now you don't have these options going for you. Musically, especially in Atlanta, and especially here in Florida, which is why I moved, it's like everybody's cliquish. It's tough to break in. Nobody really believes in you until you have thousands and thousands and thousands of followers, or thousands and thousands and thousands of money to put behind marketing. Then all of a sudden, everybody believes you. Everybody, oh my God, I knew you was going to do this. Da, da, da. Met all these famous people, all of our faves, And nothing ever really came from that. I just kind of felt like it was kind of like a cat and mouse game, people being a little fake, a lot of fake, the whole nine, you know? So I'm like, Sierra, none of this stuff is going for you. What are you going to do? At that point, I was like in my late 20s. And after having a talk with my sister, I said, you know what? Let me just try this nursing thing, because whatever happens, at least I know I will always have a job in this field. And not to mention, it's something that I enjoy, in the sense I enjoy helping people. But I understand that you don't only need to help people in a hospital settings. There's a plethora of ways to do that. But I knew helping people in a hospital setting or whatever, because nurses don't just work in a hospital, that I will always have a job. And that's what I was going after. So I said to myself, Sierra, if you're going to go to these people's school, if you're going to finish it out, if you're going to do what you don't want to do, which is go to school and get into debt and all of this mess, you better make sure it's in a field that is lucrative. And that's what I did after talking to my sister. And I re-enrolled into Broward College. That's where I went, and they accepted my credits. My credits was like a year away or something from expiring, but I was good on that. So I just spent an extra 2 years and got my prereqs out of the way. Joined the nursing program, 2024, January. Been there since. I am about this close to graduating. If you have followed my other videos, you'll know that I did fail a class so close to the end. Can you imagine? I went through the whole program, just to get to the second to last class and fail it by 1 point, by the way. Went through the whole 5 stages of grief, but I realized that, hey, Sierra, things happen for a reason. God is preserving you and your graduation date for a reason. So I stuck it out, did the class over again. I'm currently in the same class right now. We are going on week 5. That's to show you just how quick time flies. And it's an accelerated nursing program. So classes are 8 weeks long. So we only got 3 more weeks until this is over, which I'm super duper proud of. And I just can't wait to finish. Honestly, I'm just done with this school. I say all that to say, guys, some people may ask me, Sierra, if you know that you don't really like working for corporate jobs and you don't like the bureaucracy of it all, because all of these jobs have a bureaucratic approach. And my tolerance level as I've gotten older has become much and much thinner. So in other words, I know myself a little bit more every year that goes by, and I know what I will and won't tolerate. I guess I've always had it in me, considering I've always job hopped when I wasn't, happy for a plethora of reasons. But I say all that to say, it's not really where you start, but it's about how you end it. You got to have a plan, right? But even sometimes I tell myself, can this chapter be gone? Because at least in my situation, I'm going to need to pivot a few times before I can get to where I'm really trying to get to in my career, to where I'm no longer a W-2 employee being binded by a lot of these rules and borders. You know what I'm saying? But it's going to take a long time for me to get to that 1099 independent contractor status, in my field. And I do believe that a lot of it is also people I see on YouTube, people I see on TikTok, but mainly YouTube. I see people living the life that I was living back then when I wasn't in school. And B, I'm seeing people actually living their lives that I'm not living, a life that I want to live. And when I say that, I'm going to be more specific. I mean, working for themselves, being an independent contractor, but most importantly, being a digital nomad, working from home. And not just working from home, but working out of the country, living a slower pace of life. One thing that I've learned throughout my travels, when I was so privileged to be able to travel, working for an airline back in the days, I got to see a lot of the world. I haven't seen the whole world by no stretch now, guys. I still got a lot to see, a lot to learn, a lot to experience. But the places that I've been, most specifically international flight, it opened my mind up to different cultures, different cultures, different atmosphere, different food, different ideologies. I love that. especially the Caribbean, more specifically. I love the Caribbean. I love it for a plethora of reasons. One of them being there's a lot of people that look like me. We are the majority in a lot of the Caribbean, and with that, there's not a lot of the BS that goes on here where people care about color, the most lamest thing you can ever do. For anybody who is racist out there, or colorist, whatever it is, not only are you showing that you're uneducated, because you're showing that you are ignorant and that you're a person full of hate. And that's very embarrassing, especially in 2026. And it also shows some obsession, because one thing I found is just being in this country as a Black woman, you got a lot of racial groups, predominantly it's whites. And then you even, weirdly so, got some Hispanics that's, hopping on that bandwagon, especially with the history they got. So it's super ironic. But I say all that to say, guys, I always loved going where I was welcome. I always loved having the discernment to be able to be like, okay. So to watch people doing what I love to do, see the world, and not just see the world, but like live there, have a slower pace of life. Guys, if you've been looking at my other videos, you will see like, I'm just so tired of this rat race, and I've been tired of it for a few years now. I've made some videos about it. It's tiring. It's just a hamster wheel. Every day it's the same thing. You wake up, you go to work for 8 or 9 hours of your day. And as a nurse, it's going to be 12 hours for me. You go home with just enough time to go to sleep and do it all over again. You barely have time for family. If you're married, you barely got time for your spouse. And you barely have time or funds or self-care for things that you like and enjoy. So for that reasons and a couple more, especially with this current administration, with who these people voted into, dare I say, being a president of the United States, talk about lowering the bar. But I say all that to say, guys, I've been checked out. And that is why I have been planning and making, goals and praying on my exit out. Can it come quicker? Can it come quicker? Can it come like tomorrow? Then I got to tell myself like, no, see, it doesn't work like that. You set out a plan here, you set out goals, and you have to reach those goals, because where I'm trying to go isn't just going to be awarded to me because my name is Ciara. I need to put work in. I need to prove myself. I need to climb up that ladder. And that is going to take time. That is the harsh truth. But I just wanted to know if you guys too feel the way I have been feeling, just about wanting to kind of rush to happiness, rush to peace. That's what I'll put it as. Have you ever felt like you are in a rush to be at peace? Because I have every waking day. Like right now, I'm done with clinicals. I had a 12-hour shift at clinicals. And while I know this is a stepping stone and it's a big one, sometimes I just be like, can we just wrap this up? Can we speed this up? Let me get to the end goal. But I got to tell myself to be patient. So anyways, guys, I don't know how long this video was, but if you lasted this long, I will assume that you or someone have been thinking the same way I have. And just know that you're not alone. We are in this together, and we're going to get through it. That's for darn sure. All right. Anyways, guys, make sure you like this video and subscribe. It is getting dark. I don't even know how this quality is showing up because I got you guys on my Insta360 Go Ultra, which isn't bad, but it doesn't do great in low light. So with that being said, darlings, have a blessed day, and we will meet again next time. Peace.